Right peeps, here we are back at my overly complicated wiring system. Here you can see is the voltage sensing relay. That voltage sensing relay I have used to replace this very simple on-off switch. When I used to get out of the van, I used to turn that off, and that used to isolate the Phoenix computer from the Phoenix battery. But being the simple person I am, I kept forgetting to do it. So now, when I turn this ignition off, you should hear a large click from underneath the passenger seat. Clonk, you heard that. Now, as the battery voltage drops, when it gets below 12.6, you should hear that relay click, and that will then turn off the Phoenix system, which is currently on. What I will do is, I will turn the lights on in the back to get the voltage to drop quicker. As soon as the voltage drops below about 12.6, 12.5, that relay should click. So I'll shut up now, see if we can hear it. Did you hear that click? And the voltage has dived to 2 volts, 0.2 volts. That's some weird bleed off voltage that bleeds across the main isolators. I have no idea why it bleeds across the main isolators, but it does. Now that voltage sensing relay turns off at 12.4, not 12.65 like it says it does. I think it comes back on at 12.65. Now if I measure the input voltage, 12.61, 12.62, it's recovering back up its voltage because the load's been turned off. To turn this starter back on, you should hear a loud click when I first start the engine. That will be the main isolators underneath the seat switching on. Then this one will switch on a second later. I'll go a bit closer so you can hear it. Did you hear that little second click? The little second click was that voltage sensing relay flicking in. The big click beforehand was the main relay underneath the passenger seat kicking in, joining the alternator to the Phoenix battery. Now when you switch it off, that big click you hear is the big main relay switching the Phoenix battery off. Now when this drops down to about 12.4, you should hear a slightly lower click. I'll switch the lights on in the back to get the voltage to drop a bit quicker, and that voltage should drop to nearly 0. That other click you heard was just the van relay. About 12.4 it should do it. There you go, 12.41, and the voltage dives to 0. Now I don't have to switch off the Phoenix system ever, because it's switched off automatically by that voltage sensing relay, which also switches it back on about half a second after the main relay switches over to charge the Phoenix battery. Also, if the Phoenix battery is ever too low and it's not taking a charge, it should keep the Phoenix system switched off. I haven't quite sorted that yet. I've got to finalise all these, all this wiring. All that wiring. At the moment I'm taking out the radio communications. This is the intercom for the front to back. I'm going to have a door there, so it's pointless. I've traced all the wiring back, cut it out, and what I am actually left with is a wire that I've lost. Let's turn my meter off before I kill the battery in the meter. Get that out of the way. I know that system works somewhere down here. Here it is. This is the main live feed for that radio system. I've kept that because it's got a little 5.6mm barrel plug on the end. I've put on it Phoenix 12 volt, so it says it's live when the Phoenix system's on. That wire there will come in handy for powering up something along the lines of a reversing camera. I mean, I've got a reversing camera built into my stereo, but if I've got anything with a 12 volt barrel plug that I want to live up with the Phoenix system, I've got this wire spare. I'm going to tuck it away under there. I'm going to remove this box, and then I'm going to replace the RCD for the 240 volt, and I'm going to move it further up because I had to take it out to get this base plate out. So I'm going to put it in slightly further back up, so I won't have to keep removing it every time I want to take this base plate out to access any of this this spaghetti bolognese schmozzle of wiring. Right, I'm going to do some tidying up and I'll get back to you later, peeps, when everything's put back in. Oh, by the way, I've also removed the GPS system, which was on a constant live and was running and draining down the Phoenix battery as well. I don't know if there's a card in there or what, but it was the GPS tracker, and also I believe it may have been for the radio that would originally come for talking to base or whatever. There's 4 aerials up on the roof. What they all do, I don't know. I'm just going to take them out and use the bolt holes as supports for my roof system, my roof rack system. But that's next week when the rain stops, maybe. If DVLA ever get me my bloody logbook back so I can tax the damn van, then I can take it home and work on it properly. Anyway, peeps, I'll catch you up a bit later and we'll see it when this is all a bit tidier. Hello. Right then, peeps, what you're looking at the moment is my meter sitting on the Phoenix system battery. If you can see it there, it's in line with the positive. That's showing the ampage going into the battery at the moment because the engine's running. When I turn the engine off, that should eventually go into a minus figure, which will be the Phoenix system draining from that battery, even though the isolator switched off. Now you've got to remember, when this was an ambulance, it was either constantly running or constantly plugged in. They're not set up to be switched off, which is why these batteries in the Phoenix battery drawer always die, because you can never fully switch the Phoenix system off. Now if you remember from my last video, I had a manual switch to switch off the Phoenix system. I kept forgetting to do it. I killed 2 brand new batteries. They were down to 0.01 volts when I got back to them after a week. Anyway, I'm going to go and turn the ignition off. That should go into a negative number, I think, and then that will be the Phoenix system draining from that battery. After a few seconds it should go to 0, and that will be the VSR switching off, which is what I've put in to replace that manual switch. There we go. Here we go. That's how much the Phoenix system's taking out of that battery. 0.3 of a volt, or 0.3 of an amp, sorry. If I was to turn the lights on inside, it would shoot up to about 5 and then switch off, because as the battery voltage drops below where the VSR will switch off. You won't hear the little click, but I will. There you go, that's a 1 amp draw. That's what the Phoenix system takes when it's on standby or in sleep mode, which is enough to kill one of these batteries in a day. Now I've turned the lights on in the back. Now you can see the ampage has shot up, and there you go, it's just killed it. I turned the lights on in the back. It drew down the battery 4 amps, which is what the fluorescent tubes take to run each side. The battery voltage dropped below the 12.65. The VSR killed it. There is now nothing coming out of that battery. It is totally isolated. It's not a very accurate VSR, let's put it that way. It's supposed to switch off at 12.65, it switches off at 12.4. Fortunately, once it switches off at 12.4, the battery voltage floats back up again to around 12.6, which is fine. The trouble with lead-acid batteries is they sag under load, which is why lithium ion or lithium ion phosphate are even better. They don't sag so much under load. They tend to hold their voltage right until the last 10% of their usable power, and then it drops off dramatically. But there you go, folks, that's the VSR fitted, all fully working. Catch that, peeps. Right then, peeps, here we are, everything put back together. That's where the old isolator switch used to be. So now I've got the VSR sitting behind it. Trim back in behind the cab. View back so you can see what you're looking at. There's the cab seat, driver's seat. The wiring crap I've been using today. There's the LCD back on the wall. That runs down into that extension strip. And then there's 2 plugs that go into it. Sockets and battery management. That's all the 240 this thing had. That's all it's going to have. There's sockets up on the wall. I still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to use an inverter and a normal fridge, or whether I'm going to go for a 12 volt fridge. 12 volt fridges are very expensive. For the money you spend on a 12 volt fridge, I could put another solar panel up to cover the inverter running all the time. Anyway, there's the VSR wire labelled on the battery, so I know what it is in future when I can't remember in about a week's time. And what I've removed today is, as you can see over there on the passenger seat, I've removed the radio. Might stick that on eBay, see if it's any good. It lights up, whether it works or not I've got no idea. Remove the cut-out switch, I can save that for something else. Remove the volume control for the driver's seat, and remove the GPS tracker there, as you can see. That's a little bit less wiring. Hasn't made it any less complicated because none of that was working anyway. But there you go. That's a little bit of wiring I've done on the ambulance today. As I say, I still haven't got my V5 back, and Swansea haven't taxed it, so they're probably still not back at work. It's amazing how they expect us to go back at work, but the government won't go back to work themselves. Anyway, let's not get political, let's not get religious, let's not get sexist or whatever ist it is I am this week. As soon as you turn 50, you become an ist. You're ist, you're sexist, you're racist, you're everything-ist. I don't know, I lose track of what I am. I'm just me. Sorry about that. Anyway, that's what I've done so far, and I'll get back to you in a couple of days when I get some more work done. Ta-ra, peeps.